Welcome to season 2 of the Happy Sensory Corner podcast at Mandability. We want to help everyone, especially when they are vulnerable, to feel happier, more comfortable in their own skin, more confident, so that we can all journey together through life more happily. And to do that, we activate the brain's self-healing mechanisms with short hands-on games based on the neuroscience field of environmental enrichment. And as our brain grows stronger and healthier, all of us benefit. And so we're experts in boosting brain development, but we're not experts in everything. For example, we're not experts in what you eat, physical activity, advocacy, education, job training, etc. And so today we're thrilled to welcome back with
Mhm.
Lenora Edwards. Lenora is a board certified speech language pathologist with over 15 years of experience. She's a chief knowledge officer at Better Speech, which is a company making speech therapy accessible to everyone through online services. And last time, Lenora, we had such a great conversation where we answered questions like how to support speech development, the role of technology, strategies for encouraging verbal interaction in everyday routines. But we didn't get a chance to dive into what we feel is an important topic when we talk about speech development, and that's eye contact. And I said speech development. What I mean for eye contact, and I think you guys will agree, is communication in general, right?
Mhm. Yeah. A lot of people often say speech and indicate, oh, they're talking and everything that goes into the group of communication. So we follow your thought process.
So yeah, we're so excited to have you back for a second episode, Lenora, to explore this further.
Great
Um,
to be here with you both.
yeah, and we're here with Claudie, our Chief Science Officer at Mendability, and I'm going to be your host. And what I've prepared is a series of questions from our clients and people who've asked us questions about eye contact in the past. And I thought we could make this episode a bit of a Q&A. So, question number one, and now I need to load my questions.
Mhm.
Where did they go? Here we go. Question number one, Lenora. We've got a younger child, 4 years old. He's been in speech therapy for a year, made some progress, starting to say single words, but still not making eye contact, especially with new people. The question is, could his, and that's from the parent, could his discomfort with eye contact be affecting his ability to learn new words? And should we address this with a therapist?
It definitely could be something that is affecting their ability to learn new words. And the reason why is because when we look at our mouth, we're talking, or when we're talking with a child, we're working to gain eye contact, and we want them to be engaged in, at least in our culture where we live in the US, connecting and having that eye contact is important, but we also want them to understand how to effectively use the word. So if they're not engaging at all in the item, how do we better understand how to label it, how to name it, how to give it the function, how to describe it, how to interact with it? So we definitely want to do our best to keep them engaged and to help support their eye contact. That being said, something to also always check into is there anything functionally wrong with their vision? They absolutely want to see a specialist and to be sure that their eyes are operating and are functioning at their best level. For example, if there's really bright lights and a little one is having trouble looking at somebody in an area that's very well lit, it might not be trouble with eye contact. It might be tolerance to the bright lights. So it's important to, yes, we want to encourage this, but we also want to cover our bases and make sure that we really are thorough in our ability to help the kids that we're with.
If they find that, say, it's a child with autism, and that's a follow-up question from me, that's not from the parent. If they find that, it's a very uncomfortable thing for them to give you eye contact. Where do you strike the balance between encouraging and then, not putting too much pressure, or do you still encourage it?
We definitely still encourage it, but also understanding that it might not be comfortable for them. So, really fine tuning that balance between encouraging and supporting them, inviting them, especially when it comes to eye contact and something that can be different with each individual for that child could be the level of authority and the level of dominance that is coming at that individual. So, for example, children are very small, adults, not so small. Adults tend to be quite the height difference. If you happen to have somebody who's very stern, very strict, with a very strong voice, speaking to a little one, they might automatically simply have this fear response that goes up and they don't want to engage with that person because they're nervous, they're anxious, whatever the case may be. When we come down to their level, literally as we squat down, this is why it's so important that when we're playing with children, that we play on their level, or when we're talking with children, that we're talking with them at their level because we're then less scary to them, which is a good thing. We're also much more inviting. And then we also get to shift our voice from being this very booming, strong voice that's coming down to them, and it's literally angled down if this person is taller and they're not on that level. We come down to the same level of the child and we soften our tone. We have the ability to do that. And being able to spend time with a child, being able to interact with them and see how they respond in different situations is very helpful. We want to notice where their strengths are and where we can help them improve upon.
Okay. Um, Let me see if I can summarize what you've said. You talked about speaking at their level and not be watch for what could intimidate them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I imagine that their comfort level must be a lot lower than what we would assume a neurotypical person's comfort level with social
Mm-hmm.
interaction to start with.
Yeah.
So, and I want to ask a follow-up question about that. The second is soften the tone of voice. I know
Mm-hmm.
I've heard Claudie say that a lot. Try whispering and see if it both lowers the engagement threshold, but also triggers a little bit of a surprise. It was like, wait, that's not a tone I'm used to, and it kind of makes them tilt their head a little bit, maybe engage. Is that correct, Claudia? Is that the reason behind the whispering?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I have found that it is true also for neurotypical children. If you lower the voice, if you are almost telling a secret, they do pay more attention and tend all of them to pay less and less attention the higher the volume is. So I've seen parents sending me videos saying he doesn't answer his respond to his name, which is kind of a symptom that is described. And when I ask for a video, I see for example, the dad following the kid running in the backyard and yelling, and the kid keeps on running. So yeah, I believe that lower voice is more successful.
So my follow-up question for you, Lenora, about the level, lowering your level of engagement, I'm gonna call it. Or do you have a technical term for that?
I would say lowering your tone or shifting your tone
No,
and
the whole
lowering
thing,
to their
like,
eye level.
physically kneeling to be at the same level, lowering your height, lowering your tone of voice, lowering everything about how you
Hmm.
approach. How would you call
You
that?
you can call it a variety of things. You can call it more inviting. You can call it coming
Yeah.
down to their level. Because even think of it this way: say you have a very strong voice in the room. Okay, so I'm going to say four words. Okay, what's the difference? Tell me your name. Tell me your name. Tell me your name. Which one sounds more inviting?
The middle one.
I like the one where you had the fingers. It almost gave like a visual cue to help me process one, two, three, four words. Did you do
Yeah.
that on purpose? Was that the third?
That was more just to show you that they were just four words, but I'm happy that the visual was very supportive because we do use visuals with the little ones. But the difference really being in tell me your name. There's just four words. The difference is in the tone and the
Mm,
delivery and the energy.
Mhm.
And especially when we start to talk about energy, some people might say, oh, that's a little woo woo, that's a little out there. Not so much. When you go, I just don't like that person, you're talking about something about them. Ultimately, comes down to everything is energy, that it doesn't resonate with you. It literally doesn't feel good to you. So when we shift our voice and we want, especially when we're in the classroom or we're having therapy or we're on the screen, we want children to engage with us. When women have this, most often women have this much more naturally, simply by the fact that they're female, and this comes at a different level for their nurturing abilities to come in. When there is a stronger male voice that comes through, it resonates. They quite literally hear it differently. We have a different frequency. You can tell naturally I tend to be softer. I can make it sound a lot firmer, but that's very intentional and shifting that voice. So if you're wanting a child to be very engaged with you, you want to make it as playful and engaging and inviting as you can. That includes your eye contact, but that also includes shifting your voice and really coming across as inviting, as engaging. You can come across in a really creepy way and say, hey, come here. And that can very much be off putting because you're coming across in a creepy way. Even both of you had the same response of like, whoa, I don't like that lady. And you naturally pulled back. That's a very, very appropriate response.
Yeah, it's so, I love how you describe it, and it's very clear. And plus, you give us examples so that the people listening can really make the difference. I had a video yesterday. I have a little boy I work with who has great difficulty with food. So we have a protocol where we smell first, we look at the picture, and the kid was, mom sent a video, the kid is trying to run away. But then she comes with the tactile, and I can hear her voice is changing. And she says, oh, because I had sort of explained to her how you want to do it and the respect. And so I said, okay, ask permission. And so she would, can I touch your hand? Can I touch your cheek? Suddenly the kid was so calm and he would do, "Mm." Like that was unexpected, but just by the tone of her voice, he changed completely. So thank you for
Beautifully said,
making it
Claudie.
so clear.
So would you say then ask for permission um would you ask for permission to ask for eye contact? How would you I understand that the tone of voice makes it inviting and so it motivates them emotionally. They feel like they want to connect with you more than they did initially. But how do you ask for the eye contact respectfully and with permission? Is there a way?
Slightly different because so think of eye contact being much more reflexive. So whereas wanting to eat something that is absolutely a choice, they're engaging in a task. They're saying, yeah, I do eat. I eat applesauce. I don't eat bananas. Now we're working to get this child to experience bananas and getting them to play with it, just getting them in the same vicinity, getting their
Mhm.
nervous system used to it. So slightly different. Whereas they already have the option to eat something or not eat something. Whereas eye contact starts right from birth. Where, as soon as that baby is in the caregiver's arms, you're already engaging with it. So it's a little bit of a different experience, if that makes more sense. When we're talking about eye contact, we might say, can you please look at me while I talk to you? Or look at me while I talk to you. Very, very different. And which one do you want to not look at when depending on the delivery? One is an invitation, one is an offering, one is a command that you can just say they're both commands. Can you please look at me? You're actually saying, look at me. That there's part of a command. You're asking a question also in there. So there's that choice. Look at me is a very strict, very direct command, especially with the tone. You're telling them to do something versus inviting them to do something.
Mhm. Excellent. I want to talk about question two because it talks about screen time possibly affecting the eye contact of the person. This is an interesting question. I hadn't thought of that before. So this parent says, my daughter is 6 years old, can only say a few phrases. She often looks away when trying to talk. Okay, eye contact. But when she watches TV, she seems more focused. So I imagine she means that the gaze seems fleeting when trying
Hmm.
to do eye contact with a person, but it's not fleeting when there's TV.
Hmm. For
So
sure.
her question is, could screen time be affecting her eye contact and speech? And how should we balance her exposure to screens?
It absolutely can be. And this is something that's a very big topic, especially in the neurodevelopment world, in the child language development world. Ultimately, little ones, their brains are growing, their entire nervous system, body, mind, spirit, whatever you want to call it, everything is growing. When we do certain things, such as spending too much time on a screen. So now think of a screen where you're like, oh, wow, there's so many different colors. It's so interactive. They have lots of voices. It's very passive engagement. We live in a 3D world that we interact with. We have to be able to really understand how to use our language. This is experiencing language. Being on a screen is an experience. Being out in the 3D world, talking to parents, talking to caregivers, playing with other kids, going on the playground, going for a swim. That's an interaction. It's completely different. You are then really in that language. You're in the environment. So now you're getting asked to participate. Okay, let's sit down. We're going to have dinner. Okay, we're going to go find our shoes because we're going to go outside. We're interacting. They have to be able to know and engage and understand. Whereas on screen time, they can just watch. Nothing is being asked of them. It's very pretty and it's very playful. Yes, there are absolutely educational programs, educational apps, benefits to technology completely. There are also things that are very beneficial to being interactive. And this was something that we saw, especially at the very beginning of COVID and at, whether you want to call it the height of it or whatever it was for 2 years, some kids were quite literally in front of a screen for hours and hours not because the parent or guardian didn't care. The parent or guardian had to work to keep a roof over their head. They didn't have that social interaction. So the TV, the screen became the babysitter, the caregiver. And you're going, I'm hoping they're learning. But again, it's a very different passive experience. They're just watching. And don't forget, technology is designed, everything is designed to draw you in. They want you to watch the TV for longer. They want you to be on the app for longer because ultimately it does eventually go back to the dollar, but it's a very engaged. They want you on there. So you really have to find ways to balance it within your home and set times. This is even why adults need screen time limits on their devices.
Hmm.
You could scroll for days upon days upon days upon days on the same app.
So could we, if TV is a lot easier for kids to maintain eye contact with the screen, is there something we can
They're
learn
staring.
from? Yeah, I hear it when I say it. Maybe my question is not going to be a very good question, and you can
Yeah,
tell
no,
me,
no,
but is
no.
there
It's
something we
great.
can learn from TV or from the way a screen presents the experience to the child that would help us as the people around them to make it easier for them to engage with us and make eye contact?
For sure. One thing that I love to encourage people to do is if we're on the screen, hmm, what are we doing on the screen? And also, how frequently are we having social interaction? So, for example, one thing that I encourage people to do is if they're watching a TV show, pause it, stop the TV show. What's happening? What's Bluey doing? What do you think he's going to do next? And ask them questions about what they're watching. And this is truly something that is very, very important. Start this early. And if your child doesn't know, you stop and you engage with them and you say, oh, Bluey's wearing a blue shirt today. Wow. Oh, you have blue on too. And you're engaging with them. You're
Gotcha.
offering that interruption. You're really helping them shift. Oh, I am doing something. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's the same. That's the same. That's different. That's different. They're coming out of the game. They're coming out of the screen into the world. Now, the reason that's so important is because I then see middle school students and I see high school students and I say, what did you do this weekend? What did you watch? Tell me about the movie. What happened in Spider-Man? What happened in Inside Out? Tell me about it. And they can't. All they know is that they watched it. It's a big deal. We want people to be able to not only watch and see what they experienced on TV, but to tell somebody about it. Was there a sequence to it? Was there an
So
understanding of the concepts to it?
what I'm hearing is that the TV or the show is giving something that is engaging and that is interesting for the kids. So now we know we have something that they were interested in. And
Mm-hmm.
so now we have something, it provides us with a topic
Yeah,
to, we can say, oh, well, if they like this show, then we can that's a good subject.
it is a good
Out of all the
subject.
subjects in the world we could try to use to engage with them, that's a good one to use.
Yeah,
And so be proactive and be intentional with the TV watching or the screen use so that you
very
know
much
what
so.
it is that you're doing and using so that you can use that to your advantage. That's what I
Definitely.
heard from what you said.
Yes, absolutely. Pokemon, use it to your advantage. If your kid loves Pokemon, great. We have a topic we can talk about. Ask about it. Ask them questions about it. Why is it important? Why are we trying
Yeah,
to catch them all? What are their powers?
fun, fun. All right, question number three. My son is 5, doesn't make eye contact during playtime, even when he's playing with us. He prefers to engage with toys rather than people. How
Mhm.
can we encourage more social interaction that might help both his eye contact and language development?
Oh, that's a great question. Something that I often encourage people to do is when, at least for me, so I see a lot of my clients with better speech, all my clients are on Zoom. So we'll engage with a game and then I will stop the screen share. So we're on a platform, we're playing all different games. I'll stop the screen share and then I'll bring something else to my mouth or I'll bring something else to my face so that when they're engaging with me, they're looking at my face. Now, the way parents and guardians can do this when they're at home is say they picked up a cup and they're like, oh, do you want a drink? You bring it up to your face. And that way, not only are they bringing up the item, we're now labeling it, we're showing how we use it, and start this from an early age. This is a great thing. Bring it to your face because we want to encourage eye contact, but also they then get to watch my mouth move. They then get to see what else is going on. And the reason that this is important is because we're giving auditory input as we're talking. We're also giving tactile input as we're placing it in their hand. Then we're giving visual input by encouraging them to look up at us. And that's a very good thing. And then you can even do hand over hand or something else to help them understand. And this is something that I do often with individuals who are not using their voice as frequently as they could be, helping kids understand that they have a voice and that that sound came from them. I'll encourage parents to really, when they're even little, put them on your lap, look at them right in the face, and have this engagement of this back and forth of this play. Take their hands, bring it up to your mouth, let them explore, let them be really curious, and then even take their hand and go ah, and you put it on their throat and go ah, and encourage that. Want to really keep this whole space very inviting, making it fun and making it playful and making eye contact a good experience is just as important as making play a good experience and just as important as helping them understand when we go up to other kids, I might be nervous, but we can go together and showing them when we're adults, we have the ability to model, expecting them to know how to do everything and say, yeah, go play, good luck. They might not know how to go up and talk to another kid. They might not know how to go up and say, hi, my name is Joey. They might not know that. So we show them and we show them repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly until they have the skill themselves.
It feels like what you're saying I've heard this principle before, anchoring something they don't know how well or not very comfortable with something that they are comfortable and familiar with. And I think it's Claudie, you've used that for like learning the alphabet. So anchoring abstract concepts that are not familiar with and comfortable with concrete sensory or motor experiences. Have you Claudie, do you have anything to add to how you could anchor a visual face-to-face experience with something?
Yes, well, what I really like from what you're saying is the multisensory experience, not stay focused on the one thing that you want to work on, but adding. And I always tell parents, when you are trying to converse, when you are beginning about having a communication that way, I tell them, in fact, for me, that was most the serotonin part because of that nice contact. Put your hand on the face or put your hand on the shoulder of your child so that there is a physical connection, which we speak differently about it, but in fact, the result is the same. The child is more relaxed, more comfortable. And
Mm.
yes, when I teach the alphabet to children, teach the parents how to teach the alphabet. We use everything like the smell of that item, the smell of the banana. We spoke about banana, and then we look at the picture of banana, then we manipulate the banana, and then maybe we're going to look at a card that has the B on it. And I teach phonetic because I'm not a teacher in the classroom. I'm trying to connect all the senses to one information. So I really enjoy listening to you because we definitely have the same vision of a learning and an experience. It has to have several modalities.
I love that. She said it so beautifully.
Question number 4. My 7-year-old daughter avoids eye contact. Okay. She's very expressive with her hands and body language. Could her strong nonverbal communication skills be a sign that we should focus less on eye contact?
To focus less on eye contact, I would
Yeah,
still
I think what
encourage
I'm
it.
hearing is since she's so expressive with all other parts of communication,
Mm-hmm.
maybe don't worry so much about eye contact.
Mm-hmm. Um, I would still encourage eye contact, especially because if we're very specifically talking about the US, in our culture, we make eye contact. We want to engage with other people and we want them to ultimately build their skills. And it's not necessarily when it comes to eye contact, just like it takes time to learn new words, just like it takes time to really understand um, plurals and past tenses and how to use the right tense in the word. It's a skill that we can build upon. If your child doesn't have great eye contact at the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, that's okay. You still work on it. You still keep it top of the mind, still working to engage them and still keeping that inviting encouragement that says, okay, well, when you want to ask me a question, great, come here, ask me the question. Or let me come to you and then ask me the question. I love seeing how expressive you are. You have great movement with your hands. Wow, that was huge. Let's try this also. It's not that this is bad and this is good, or you have this, so we're going to let this one go. Keeping that cohesiveness to understand that communication is eye contact, is your words, is your tone, is how you engage with things, is how you introduce yourself. It's all communication. And we want to build that strong foundation. And we want to really get that foundation in at the beginning. And if it doesn't get in completely, that's okay. We're still going to keep building that foundation because we want that for them so that they can go then at age 8, at age 12, at age 18. They can go into these other experiences knowing that they can rely on their skills to help them effectively communicate and engage with the world.
I've been
I
accused of
want
being
to
very permissive as a parent. And I'm
let me say something.
okay. Sorry,
Come
I didn't
on.
see that. I wasn't looking at the
Okay.
screen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm very quiet and polite. Well, I want to note something that you said that is so important. In fact, for us, because we work with people around the world, and culture is so important. I have spoken to parents who are from a different culture, but they are teaching the child about welcoming someone in the American way. And so, but they are practicing when but nobody's there. So they tell him, okay, when someone comes in, you have to lift your hand, say hi. And I said, it's very difficult for the little kid who lives somewhere else. And I asked them, if you have people coming into your house in let's say Bombay, and are the children coming over, raising hand and saying hi? And this sort of, no, that's not what we do. So that it's very important too for us to understand why is there a cultural component to the fact that the child has his head down? Maybe just because he's, like you're saying, the adults are modeling something that the
Mhm.
child is doing. And if they are in the US for a very long time, they need to be culturally adaptable, we would
Mhm.
say. But also for me, I have to remember, okay, that person is from Asia and will be a little bit more, and they are living in Asia. So we need to be, I need to be aware of that. So I'm really happy you said that.
Thank you for pointing that out. Even nonverbal, like, hi, how are you? Lifting your head up. She's completely right. That's why I was specifying if you're in the US, this is
Yeah,
how
yeah.
we
Hmm.
typically
Hmm.
communicate. But spot on. There are points that they don't look at people in the eye because it's considered rude
Yeah.
and they don't want to be rude.
Hmm.
That is very culturally appropriate. We're not going to encourage that if that is not in the culture.
Yeah, and I have two experiences that I share usually with my parents. I tell them, okay, from France, it can be heard easily. And in France, when you see someone, you nod. You don't say anything, you just give a nod. That means, hello, how are you? And we lived, Kim and I, for a number of years in the islands in French Polynesia. And to say yes to people, you raise your eyebrows. You don't say anything. I've been there for a while. I've been away for a while. I'm still saying yes with my eyebrows. And most people don't have a, come on, answer. I did. So all those elements that are you bring them with you because other people have taught you how to do it. It's interesting.
In Greece, raising your eyebrows is no. So
Okay.
that'll be fun. A Tahitian and a Greek trying to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to my comment about being permissive as a parent, it feels like if you're constantly encouraging something that's difficult, you might I'm afraid that my kid's gonna talk to me less because every time they want to say something, they know, okay, it's gonna be hard to do, and they're gonna ask me about eye contact again, and so I'll just not ask them what my question was. How do you avoid that? Or is it possible to avoid it, or do you have a tricks or
That it's not possible to, that they're avoiding it.
they,
Yeah.
because every time they want to say something, they're asked to say, okay, well, if you want my answer, if you want that thing that you want to ask me, you have to come here and you have to tell me in my
Hmm.
face and you have to look at me,
Hmm.
which is, hard. We're working
Hmm.
on it, right? So it's an
Yeah.
effort for them to do that. So we're
Yeah.
we're increasing the energy and the motivation necessary for that
Hmm.
conversation to happen. And some of those kids have got, low dopamine levels, low energy, low motivation levels. So now we're making it harder for them to talk to us.
Hmm.
And so I'm thinking I'd rather them talk to me and not look at me than
Hmm.
not talk to me at all because
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I made it harder for them.
For
How do you
sure.
avoid
And
that?
finding that balance of when we're encouraging people, something that and I will speak very personally about this, I do my absolute best to never shame somebody. When we are guilting people, when we are shaming them, we are giving so much, you've been bad to them, and we're putting so much on them that they then feel bad. Then, when they feel bad, how much more likely are they going to engage with you? So, if you're the person that's making them feel bad, such as, I've asked you 16 times, why don't you come over here and look me in the eye? Uh, it's not going to help the situation. I've asked you frequently, can you come over here? And this really goes into the adult understanding how to manage their voice, how to manage their emotions. parents, guardians, they are working so extraordinarily hard to try and keep it all together. And it's impossible to keep it all together all the time. And we only have so much energy throughout the day that will allow our patients to be there. And then once that fuel level is gone, it's gone. And that's why people snap faster and faster. There's a number of reasons that people have that quick response. What really needs to happen is to continue to raise this emotional level of awareness that people are having and to continue to raise their awareness that says, I know I need a break. I know I've asked my child 16 times to do something and they're not doing it. I need to go step away and allow that energy, allow that frustration, allow that pause to be there. For parents and guardians, give yourself a break. Allow yourself to say, okay, I'm done now. I'm going to come back to this at another time. Because if this was a book, you wouldn't read it you wouldn't read it end to end in one shot typically. Allow yourself to pause. Take the break. Take the time away. Come back when you're feeling better. Because what's ultimately going to happen is if you keep stressing that connection between your child and you stress it, you stress it, you shame it, you guilt it, you guilt it, and you go, I'll be better tomorrow. I'll be better tomorrow. You're putting so much frustration into that connection that is damaging the connection. It's not helping. It's not supporting. It's being unsupportive ultimately. So we want to do as much as we can to create a supportive environment so that those skills build, but also truly so that those parents and guardians feel supported.
Thanks. I think that's exactly what I was thinking, is I didn't want to stress that
Yeah,
relationship. And so
totally.
take breaks, look, be intentional about the eye contact, but not at the detriment of the relationship. Yes. Love it. Thank you. And give yourselves grace as a parent. You're going to screw up.
I often like to say you are doing the best that you can with the
Yeah.
tools, the time, the knowledge, and the energy available to you.
So really what you need is maybe offload that responsibility to a speech therapist.
You could. You could. There are plenty of times where I will encourage the parents to say, practice this. And if they're having trouble practicing, say, Lenora wants you to practice this. Blame me. That's perfectly fine. I'm the external. You can, by all means, point a finger at me because it's much easier for me to engage with the child because I'm there for a short period of time as a parent
Yeah.
or guardian. Your teacher, your cook, your chauffeur, your parent, your babysitter, your playmate, you're everything. Know when to say, okay, well, I'm the parent, so we're gonna say, okay, this is time to practice. And if they're having a tough moment and you still want to have a good rapport with them and you want to have that good connection and you want to sit down and you want reading to be fun or you want math to be fun, say, okay, well, this person really wants us to build our skills. So let's do what we can now. Let's spend 5 minutes doing this. We're going to do this together because we're on the same team. And then we'll go out and do something else. So really nurturing that connection as well as finding a way to make it educational, to bring in whatever element you need to be bringing in. And I'll even say, as I said, oh, well, Lenora wants us to do this. Or, wow, that was such a great sound. I heard it. You know who else is going to be really proud? Lenora is going to be so proud. You did such a great job. And it keeps it really positive, and it also helps keep that building of, you did great. Oh, wow, I did do great. It raises their level of awareness. Oh, I see you making eye contact. Yay, let's have a party. Who else should we tell? And that way, we're getting that really good connection. We're getting those good energies. We're getting those good hormone chemicals responses, all good things. And that continues to build on itself.
I think this is a perfect place to end. This is a really good high.
Super happy
Thanks,
about that.
Lenora. Thanks, Claudie. To everybody in our audience, see you guys next week. And if you have some questions for Lenora, what's a good way to reach you?
Visiting us at betterspeech.com is the best way to reach out to us.
Sounds good. All right.
Easy
Goodbye,
enough.
everybody. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.